Hello and welcome back to the Introduction to Excel for Pharmacy series. This screencast is going to be going through some basic mathematical operations in Excel and how to set those up. So the first thing to do would be to open a workbook. I'm going to cover how to do addition, subtraction, which are both just the plus and minus signs. That's how you tell Excel what to do. Multiplication, you use an asterisk. Division, you use a forward slash, and to the power 2, it's the small upwards arrow, which on the keyboard would be Shift 6. So let's say you've got two columns of data, two separate arrays, and you just want to add those together. We're going to do that in column G. To tell Excel that you're going to perform an operation, you start with equals open brackets, and then you can either numerically enter the values that you want to perform the operation on. So you could just say 4 plus 1, which it gives you that output 5, which you know is correct. Or alternatively, what you can do is you can say equals open brackets, and you can click on the cell or type in the cell reference, and it will perform the operation on the values within those cells. So if we say D3 plus E3, it gives us the output of 5. To copy the formula down to the along the length of the array, there's a small little box in the bottom right-hand corner of a cell once it's been highlighted. If you click on that little box and drag down, then that copies the formula in the cell you clicked and dragged on into all the cells as far as you drag, and it performs the operation on the cells underneath as well. So if you click on in the formula bar at the top, if you click on the formula in there, Excel highlights and color codes what it's done in the operation in the cell that you've told it to. You can see it's just 2 colors here. Sometimes you have really long strings of formula and operations, and this is quite helpful to keep track of where things are and where things should be. Sometimes you may have a constant, which I'm going to call C, call that 1.2, and you might want to add this number to every single value in your formula. So we would say plus K3, close our brackets, and enter, and it adds it to all of them. But we want to add it to all of these cells, so we're just going to drag that down. What you might have noticed is that the values underneath 6.2 didn't change. If we go to our formula bar at the top here, that's because Excel is trying to copy down the value of C as well, but there's nothing underneath it, so it's just adding 0 to what's in columns D and E. So we can go back to G3, and we can tell Excel to keep the value of C the same for every formula we do, and that is just by putting in a $sign before the column and the row references. And now when we copy down, it does it to all of our operations. So that can be very useful when you've got to handle big sets of data. It saves you typing out the formula over and over. You should be familiar with plotting data in Excel. So this graph here shows these X and Y points plotted as a scatter plot. If you aren't familiar with that, feel free to go back and check out that little screencast. There's one on how to plot the data and there's one on formatting. So check both of those out. And we formatted this plot so that there is a linear trend line, and we've displayed the equation on the chart as well. This equation is in the form y equals mx plus b. And what we're going to do is we're going to use that equation to calculate some unknown value of x at y equals 25. Now you can see our data set doesn't extend this far down, so we can't just read off. So we're going to have to do some algebra. In columns G and H, I've got the value for m, which is 1.0909. and the value for b, which is minus 0.1455. So we're going to use this rearranged equation, y equals my minus b all divided by m, to calculate the value of x. So we're going to say that x, and so we're going to say equals open brackets, x is equal to, open another set of brackets, this is for y minus b. So we're going to go y minus b all divided by m, and close our final set of brackets. And at y equals 25, x would be approximately equal to 23. Just another little formatting tip. If you've got a lot of decimal points that you don't actually want, you can, in the home tab, you can come across to this button here and it will just reduce the number of decimal points that you've got. We'll go to 1 decimal place. You can see the trend line isn't perfect. Not all of the data points lie on the line. So there may be some leeway in the value of x, but as a crude approximation, this usually works pretty well. So this has just been a very quick introduction to formula and operations in Excel. Hope you found it useful, and we'll see you in the next screencast.